Hubhopper Originals.
नमस्कार दोस्तों, आज एक बार फिर आपका स्वागत है हसल टॉक्स विद भाग्यश्री में। आज हम बात करेंगे मोदी जी की फेल्ड इंटरनेशनल डिप्लोमेसी और लीडरशिप के बारे में। सॉरी, आई एम जस्ट जोकिंग. No, I mean those are failures, but I can't talk about them. Well, not at least without getting into trouble.
Denied.
So instead, let's talk about free speech and internet. Talking about internet, a lot of people, by which I mean my friends and family, a lot of people have been asking me, hey, what is it like having your own talk show? And I tell them, I don't have a talk show. It's a podcast. In fact, this is a Hubhopper original podcast produced by Tech Samvad. I know यार, बहुत ही बेशरम प्लगइन था, लेकिन क्या करें, इन्वेस्टर्स और प्लेटफॉर्म के लिए करना पड़ता है. Anyway, I absolutely love my show. And the reason that I love my show is that it lives and dies on the internet. And I love this because I come from a generation जो बड़ी ही इंटरनेट के साथ हुई है. We are the children of internet. हम बड़े हुए हैं विंडोज 95, इंटरनेट एक्सप्लोरर, याहू चैट रूम्स और ऑर्कुट के साथ. क्या दिन थे यार वो. द क्रेजीएस्ट थिंग दैट एनीवन यूज्ड टू आस्क अस इज ASL. जिन्हें ये जोक नहीं समझ आया वो अपने बच्चों से पूछें. एक वक्त था when internet was a precious resource. हमारे पेरेंट्स ने बहुत मेहनत की so that we could be on the internet because this is where everything is happening. और आज ऐसा टाइम है when we wish our parents were not on the internet because this is where everything happens. God, those WhatsApp forwards are the worst. WhatsApp के गुड मॉर्निंग कोड्स और फोटोज तो फिर भी ठीक है, but have you seen the kind of political content there is on Facebook, WhatsApp and Twitter? और आजकल तो रोज नई गाड़ी की रेसिपी. उफ. And then there is TikTok. Well, there was. So the thing is that there is something for everyone, and actually there should be. Everyone should be allowed to vent their hearts out on the internet, except when you're instigating hatred or violence or spreading lies. मित्रों, that's what freedom of speech is about.
शिशुपाल, बैठ जा. मौलाना बैठ. बैठ और सुन. कितना भी चिल्लाएगा मंदिर वही बनेगा. घोड़े खोल ले, मंदिर वही बनेगा. मौलाना,
मैं 500 रुपए दूंगा, आप मंदिर में आ जाओगे? आओगे मंदिर में कल? 500 रुपए दूंगा मैं.
बेकारी नहीं है अपन, बहुत पैसे अपने पास.
सुप्रीम कोर्ट का कहना है कि एक गाय का गोबर जो होता है वो कोहिनूर हीरे से भी ज्यादा महंगा होता है. सुप्रीम कोर्ट का वाणी है. छक्का कोई मारेगा, चौका कोई मारेगा, वो फटाफट उठा के.
This podcast is my way, my outlet for exercising my freedom of speech and sharing my opinions and rants with you. Today, we've reached the end of season 1 of Hustle Talks with Bhagyashree. But जाने से पहले आज हम रिफ्लेक्ट करेंगे on our journey together.
नगमे हैं, शिकवे हैं, किस्से हैं, बातें हैं.
तो गाइज, शुरू से शुरुआत करते हैं कि आखिर ये पॉडकास्ट शुरू कैसे हुआ. ये जानने के लिए आज हमारे साथ हैं आशुतोष और पावस. आशुतोष है चीफ एडिटर एंड को फाउंडर ऑफ टेक संवाद और पावस हैं फाउंडर ऑफ TBC कंसल्टिंग एंड इन्वेस्टर इन टेक संवाद. बेसिकली दोस्तों, ये अपने शो के माई बाप हैं, करता धरता हैं. तो वेलकम आशुतोष एंड पावस.
थैंक यू.
ओके गाइज, तो सबसे पहले तो ये बताओ कि तुमने क्या सोच के टेक संवाद बनाया. क्या थॉट था? मतलब स्टार्टअप स्टोरीज तो मार्केट में ऑलरेडी बहुत है ना, और वही सेम स्टोरी रिपीट होती है. फंडिंग लो, पैसे उड़ाओ, ब्रांड बनाओ. तो तुम लोगों ने ऐसा क्या अलग किया?
भाग्यश्री, एक चीज़ थी कि स्टार्टअप स्टोरी की बात नहीं थी. बात जो ये सोच शुरू हुई थी, ये शुरू हुई थी हिंदी कंटेंट को लेकर. और हिंदी कंटेंट से मेरा मतलब बिल्कुल भी ये नहीं है कि क्लीशे या क्लिकबेट कंटेंट, क्योंकि मैं और पावस अक्सर यही डिस्कस करते थे कि हिंदी में जितना भी रीजनल लैंग्वेज में कंटेंट फ्लो है इस समय इंटरनेट पे, वो पूरा का पूरा ये माइंडसेट के साथ जा रहा है कि इंडियन ऑडियंस जितनी भी है, वो हिंदी हो या कन्नड़ हो या तमिल की बात करें, वो क्लीशे कंटेंट ही पसंद करती है. जो अच्छा कंटेंट होता है, क्वालिटी कंटेंट होता है, वो सिर्फ और सिर्फ इंग्लिश में है. तो ये माइंडसेट आई थिंक ब्रेक करने की ज़रूरत थी थोड़ी, और नो डाउट हमने किया भी है, और उसको उसको वैलिडेट करती है हमारी ऑडियंस, जिसका रिस्पॉन्स हमें काफ़ी वार्म मिला है अब तक की पूरी जर्नी पे। और दूसरी एक चीज़ मैं ये ज़रूर कहना चाहूँगा एक छोटे से एग्ज़ाम्पल से, लाइक आप बचपन पे देखते होंगे कि एक छोटा बच्चा जब होता है, उसको पता होता है कि यार ये फूड अच्छा है, मेरी हेल्थ के लिए सही है, बट माँ-बाप को फीड करने के लिए कई तरीके अपनाने पड़ते हैं। कुछ माँ-बाप फ़ोर्सफुली स्पून से उसको स्पून फीडिंग करवा देते हैं। कुछ होते हैं कि उसी चीज़ को एक फन सेगमेंट पे बना के उस बच्चे के लिए उसको इंटरेस्टिंग बना देते हैं। तो हमारा कांसेप्ट भी थोड़ा वैसा ही है कि हम क्यों ना कंटेंट को ऑडियंस के लिए थोड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग बनाएं, ताकि वो उसको अडेप्ट करते वक्त काफ़ी काफ़ी फन फील करें, काफ़ी काफ़ी एक नेचुरल वे में उसको उसको अडेप्ट करें। तो ये मोटा मोटी कॉन्सेप्ट था हमारा, और आई थिंक थोड़ा बहुत तो सक्सेसफुल हम हुए ही हैं, क्योंकि हमारे पास एक तगड़ा ऑडियंस बेस जितना भी अभी तक कलेक्ट हुआ है, और अभी पिछले कुछ महीनों में जितनी मिलियंस में ग्रोथ हुई है, तो वो वैलिडेट करता है, नो डाउट।
तो मतलब अब ये कहना ठीक होगा आशुतोष की टेक संवाद अब आत्मनिर्भर बन गया है?
नहीं, वो तो जब सेकंड राउंड की फंडिंग रेज करेंगे और फिर अपनी ही पीआर अपने ही प्लेटफॉर्म पे पब्लिश कर देंगे, मैं डिक्लेयर कर दूंगा, हाँ ना, वी आर आत्मनिर्भर।
तो यार मतलब मेरा मुझे ये लगता है कि हाँ मतलब टेक संवाद एक हिंदी ऑडियंस या इंडियन ऑडियंस के लिए जो आशुतोष ने कहा वो एकदम ठीक बात है। और टेक्नोलॉजी स्टार्टअप्स कंटेंट ये तो आशुतोष की एक्सपर्टीज है, उसका नीश है, उसका फोटे है। लेकिन मेरा ये मानना भी है साथ ही साथ कि बिजनेस पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से भी जिस तरह से हिंदी ने डिजिटल मीडिया और डिजिटल कंटेंट में ग्रोथ की है पिछले कुछ सालों में, तो अब एज फ्रॉम अ बिजनेस पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू भी एक हिंदी डिजिटल मीडिया प्लेटफॉर्म बहुत ज्यादा सेंस बनाता है। और जिस तरह से एडवर्टाइजर्स ब्रांड्स अब एक हिंदी ऑडियंस या एक जिसे को कहते हैं टीयर 2 टीयर 3 ऑडियंस या फिर एक रीजनल ऑडियंस के साथ कनेक्ट करना चाहते हैं, तो वो ज्यादा से ज्यादा ऐसे प्लेटफॉर्म से पार्टनरशिप कर रहे हैं। इवन हमारे साथ हर महीने हम एक नए ब्रांड के साथ इंटीग्रेशन करते हैं, पार्टनर करते हैं। तो ये जो पूरा बिजनेस पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू आई थिंक ये बहुत ग्रो हुआ है आखिरी कुछ सालों में, और टेक संवाद उस पूरे इकोसिस्टम में एक बहुत ही वेल प्लेस्ड जगह पे है, मैं ऐसा मानता हूँ, विद द टेक्नोलॉजी एंड स्टार्टअप नीश दैट वी आर राइटिंग इन।
राइट। ओके, तो ये बताओ कि हसल टॉक्स के फर्स्ट सीजन में क्या खोया क्या पाया?
से पहले की आशुतोष पाया की बात करें, मैं ये जरूर कहना चाहूंगा कि हमने काफी सारा पैसा गवाया है प्रोडक्शन में और पोस्ट प्रोडक्शन और एडिटिंग में। बाकी आशुतोष बेहतर बता सकता है।
That is so not true, guys. I'm a very low maintenance person. That is so not true. Over to you, Ashutosh.
नो एग्जैक्टली, आई एम एग्रीइंग विद यू, बट इसमें एक चीज़ थी, मीडिया हाउस पे मैं एक चीज़ बताना चाहूँगा, जितनी भी हमारी ऑडियंस है, हमारे लिसनर्स हैं उन्हें, कि जब भी आप मीडिया सेक्टर पे कुछ शुरू करते हो, तो आपके पास खोने को बहुत ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं होता, क्योंकि आप ऑलरेडी एक दूसरे सेगमेंट में दूसरी नीश पे ऑडियंस गेन कर चुके होते हो। लाइक पॉडकास्ट हमने शुरू किया तो हमारे पास सिर्फ और सिर्फ पाने को था, जैसे नेटवर्क, नई ऑडियंस, व्यूज, स्टैट्स, थोड़ी थोड़े सेलिब्रिटी फेसेस, लोगों का ऑनबोर्ड होना, तो हमने सिर्फ और सिर्फ पाया है। और मतलब मैं काउंट करवाने लगा तो मुझे एहसास हुआ कुछ ज्यादा ही पाया है, एक्सपेक्टेशन से ज्यादा ही पाया है हमने।
You're welcome, guys.
आई थिंक हाँ मतलब इसमें बस यही एड ऑन मैं करना चाहूंगा। आई थिंक आशुतोष ने सही समराइज किया है कि ये बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग एक्सपेरिमेंट है हमारे लिए और ये काफी नई चीज थी जो हमने स्टार्ट की। बट जैसे कि मैं और आशुतोष काफी टाइम से ऑलमोस्ट 6 महीने से इस पे ब्रेनस्टॉर्म कर रहे थे कि हमें पॉडकास्टिंग में ऑडियो कंटेंट में आना है, बट कैसे। तो आई थिंक उस लिहाज से काफी अच्छा स्टार्ट है, एक बहुत अच्छी शुरुआत है। और मुझे लगता है कि द नेक्स्ट स्टेप टू दिस इज कि जिस तरह से ब्रांड्स इंटीग्रेट हो रहे हैं या फिर बिजनेस जनरेट हो रहा है पॉडकास्ट से, दैट इज मोर एक्साइटिंग फॉर मी टू सी फ्रॉम अ बिजनेस पर्सपेक्टिव। बाकी यही बोलना चाहूंगा कि आने वाले वक्त में हमारी कंपनी काफी सारे अलग अलग पॉडकास्ट शोज और कॉन्सेप्ट पे भी काम कर रही है, तो आने वाले महीनों में पॉडकास्टिंग में हम काफी कुछ इंटरेस्टिंग करने वाले हैं।
That sounds awesome, guys. So, thank you so much for joining us today, and most importantly, for investing your resources and time in Hustle Talks. Thank you so much. इस पॉडकास्ट जर्नी में हमारा साथ दिया इंडियाज लीडिंग ऑडियो कंटेंट डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन एंड होस्टिंग प्लेटफॉर्म हब हॉपर ने। इन सिंपल वर्ड्स, हब हॉपर इज टू पॉडकास्ट व्हाट नेटफ्लिक्स इज टू मूवीज एंड शोज। आज हमारे साथ हैं गौतम राज आनंद, द फाउंडर एंड सीईओ ऑफ हब हॉपर। तो आज हमारे साथ हैं गौतम राज आनंद। गौतम Raj Anand is the founder and CEO of Hubhopper. Hi Gautam, welcome to our show.
Hey, how are you?
Doing great, Gautam. What about you?
Doing awesome, getting used to a new normal. living in Old Testament times with the global pandemic and everything in and around it. Great to be here, though.
Right. Yeah, great. So, Gautam, I was just telling our listeners that Hubhopper is to podcast what Netflix is to movies and shows. So, you tell us, like, what is the current relevance of podcast in overall media ecosystem? और अगर इंडिया की बात करें तो ऑडियंस शेयर कैसा है?
Okay, so I think the first way to answer sort of this space, and I'm often talking to people about it, is when people hear the word podcast, they always feel as though it's a medium that's come to us from the West, and that it's a media format that we're today getting used to in 2020. But actually, that's not the case because the word podcast is the only new thing for the Indian audience set. We've been listening to audio content across various forms for decades and decades. I mean, we have a longer oral tradition with content than most other countries, which spans generations. Whether that's in the form of cricket commentary, or whether that's in the form of religious narratives like your Hanuman Chalisa, your Guru Granth Sahib, whether that's from the stories that our grandparents tell us and our parents tell us, or even in the way that we consume platforms like YouTube. I mean, India is, as a user set, one of the strangest users of YouTube because we actually use YouTube as a listening tool more than as a viewing tool. All of us put YouTube on and then we don't look at it, we put it to the side and then we begin to listen to it. So for a very, very long time, we've actually been listening to audio content. We just never knew what to call it. We never knew what a Shairi when streamed online would be called, or what Jashna Ekta when streamed online would be called. It's when this new word of podcast came in, suddenly people assume that it's content that's not inherently Indian in nature, but that's not the case. Red FM Baua is a podcast. Sarthak on 95 FM was a podcast. It's just, I think that bridge or that connect that Hubhop has actually been trying to make over the last 5 years in making people feel as though no, this content is theirs, they have ownership of it, and it's something that they're very used to listening to. It's not a new format at all. It just got a new name. That's it.
Yeah, that's actually fabulous. How come we never realized that? That's fabulous. So, okay, so tell us a little about the intricacies. Okay, major revenue models and strategies.
So look, man, if when you're a creator, and I'm going to answer from the perspective of creators because I'm guessing most of the listeners of this podcast are going to be either potential creators or they've vicariously thought about creating at some point or the other. There are a bunch of ways to earn money through podcasting, but like any content format, you have to be good at the medium and you have to have people that are willing to listen to it. The second, if people willing to listen to it, then it's a very viable proposition because as a medium, it has a higher amount of relatability. It has a higher amount of engagement. There's no ad blindness with podcasts in the same way as we're bombarded with ads visually all the time. And as humans, we've learned to block a lot of ads out. But when you hear somebody that you trust endorsing a product and you're listening to it subconsciously and in a passive state, you tend to remember it more, you tend to think about it more positively, tend to recall it more efficiently. So I mean, there are a bunch of ways that creators can earn today. You can earn by sort of creating original shows for brands. So let's say that there's a famous podcaster that's gained acclaim in their own podcast, then they can go to a brand, and let's say that brand is Tinder or Bumble, and they can say, I'm going to create a podcast for you about romantic stories and love in the modern world. But the entire podcast is going to be branded around Tinder. A bunch of companies are doing this, including your Netflix and your McDonald's and your General Electric. Other ways podcasts earn money is podcasters actually across the world are now doing a lot of live shows. Podcasters are actually taking their podcast once they've done an entire season. They're converting that entire podcast into a audiobook, and then they're putting it behind a paywall on platforms like an Audible or a Storytel. Podcasters earn through that technology as well. Podcasters earn through mentions. Podcasters earn through selling merchandise. And the thing is that, and this is the most important and interesting aspect of this, a lot of people think that, wow, these are very far-fetched methodologies of monetizing, but we'll believe it when we say it. I can tell you and I can name podcasts for you in the country today that have all monetized through each and every one of the methodologies that I've told you. And people are already beginning to do it, and people are already beginning to, sort of benefit of it. The only one thing that you need to do, as with any medium, is you need to understand the audience. You need to build a following to that audience, and you need to sort of create something that's worthwhile of people's time to listen to. That's it.
Right.
And post that point, opportunities are endless.
Okay. So that's very interesting. So now that you've talked about it from a creator's perspective, tell us the relationship between podcast and corporates. So are podcast the new blog?
Yes, I think so. Because you look, man, like with a blog, at the end of the day, there are only so many emotions that you can disseminate of your organization. As a blog, the softer aspects of your culture as a company, the softer aspects of, like, you can't have depth based conversations that are flawed in nature, that are conversational in nature when it comes to a blog. In fact, the individual that created blogging to begin with, in sort of the platform that he created, he had something called an audio blog, and an audio blog was a podcast. It's just that then, the world forgot about it, and then Apple took the word iPod and it took the word broadcast. It mixed the two words together, and you came up with the word podcast, and automatically then it sort of became that as the medium. But blogging and audio blogging is essentially how both of them were born, and they were born together at the same time. So again, I don't see them as conflicting, but they're complementary in nature. One you can listen to more passively, one has more depth to it. A blog is more to the point, it's more getting your point across in a few words, and it's more, I think, thought through. Like a blog could never exist in the way that you and I are having this conversation right now, or even if it did, it wouldn't be as informal and as sort of flawed. And I like
Yeah.
content that's flawed. I think everybody likes content that's flawed.
Yeah, it's raw, it's real, of course. So, because you mentioned like technology, so tell me, Gautam, that now that we have like numerous wireless headphones, we have AirPods, we have connected speakers. So, listening has become more frictionless. So,
Yeah.
what does the future hold in terms of growth of new formats and distribution channels?
So I think it's not just listening that's become more frictionless. I think people's appetite for content has become more and more insatiable. People want to consume content at any given point in time. And why are podcasts so popular? It's because podcasts aren't necessarily immersive as a medium. You can listen to a podcast while riding a cycle. You can listen to a podcast while you're getting ready in the morning, or while you're cooking your breakfast, or while you're even on WhatsApp. And the sort of ability to have podcasts accentuate your already pre-existing habits makes it a very interesting value proposition, because it's not a medium that takes away from your day, but rather it adds on to it. It's not telling you can't drive, you can drive while listening to a podcast. And then in general Indian format, we all want an ROI from everything that we're doing. So instead of listening to music that becomes repetitive, I'm a patron of listening to podcasts because I feel like I'm getting something out of it, even if it's incremental. But I always feel like I'm either learning something or I'm laughing about something. I mean, I'm a self-proclaimed nut in this regard because I listen to 14 hours of podcasts a day. And now that I'm converted to this large of a degree, I can never imagine going back to anything else, because the amount of information that I'm able to take in passively while listening to content, I could never do that in any other format ever. So yeah.
I know, and I totally agree with you because, like, in the starting, when the lockdown and everything began, and we were all doing our household chores ourselves. Like, I still remember. I think the podcast is the very thing that got me through that time, because I would do those things. I would do the jharu, pocha, bartan, everything that I had to, and just like plug into my podcast and like not care about anything else. So yeah, that's actually really cool.
Correct. And it's a good
Yeah,
sense of companionship, actually, because when people listen
yeah.
to podcasts, they don't feel alone. So you actually laughing with somebody, and there's a personal relationship that gets created between the podcaster and the person listening, which is why I think with the podcast, authenticity is one of the key components of what makes a podcast fantastic. It's less about the post production, it's less about the audio quality, but it's more about the authenticity.
Yeah, really cool. So, who is winning the platform war among Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, Savan, Ghana, YouTube? Like, we have all these channels. You tell us from the data point of view.
So I think that to be extremely honest, I think we're not even scratching the surface of this yet. Where I mean, this is the tip of the iceberg, and I've often told this to people, or I've spoken about this. I think the more people that are entering the space, the better it is on either the demand side or on the supply side. And right now, it would be redundant to talk about who's owning the largest piece of this pie, because I believe that this pie hasn't been created yet. I think this cake is still getting baked, and this cake hasn't even we haven't even begun to perceive of how large this cake could be. I think once you have all these players on your demand side and on your supply side that are going to be building the space together over the coming years, after a few years, when we actually see the iceberg that's below the sort of water that we're currently blind to, it's at that point that we can see that this platform has an edge over this platform. Right now, the numbers that we're talking about are tiny numbers in comparison to what I think this space is going to be. Or not what I think, what I know, what I have conviction in this space is going to be. I can tell you in the span of 2 years. I mean, because Hub was one of the oldest players in this space, and we've seen this space where it was, like you could count the number of people making a podcast on one hand, and everybody would sit together in a hole in the wall bar, and we'd all talk about podcasting, and if that day of if that day would ever arrive where podcast would get its due, I think that day is just starting. So right now, anybody, and to be very honest with you, for somebody that's been in the space for so long, I can tell you anybody that's talking about who owns the space, who's the largest player, they actually don't really understand the space yet. They don't actually know the space. I don't think that they actually um, I don't actually think that they have the maturity of seeing this space for what it can become. Because in talking about who owns the space the most right now, you're implying that this space has reached the scale in which it's worthy to have that discussion. We're not
Yeah.
even 5% of where we need to be.
Right. So Gautam, now that you mentioned this, and we know that you have all this knowledge about podcasts, I finally want to know what's your vision like with Hubhopper and with podcasts.
So I think with podcasts, you're going to see very interesting thing happening over the next couple of years. You're going to see a slew of creators coming in, especially in a place like India. I think India is going to rock the world in this manner because um, as a medium, it's a language agnostic medium. It doesn't discriminate between content that's created in Urdu, Tamil, or English, unlike the rest of the internet. It's a capital agnostic medium. It doesn't necessarily require you to go to a studio and create. Look at the way that we're recording right now. And it's a literacy agnostic medium. Somebody who's a fourth grade pass out can be just as great of a storyteller as somebody who's um, you know uh, an MPhil or a PhD scholar from an Ivy League college, right? So you're going to see a bunch of creators coming in across the board, and there's going to be huge democratization there. You're going to see a lot of consolidation taking place. Hubhopper as a platform has always sort of been devoted to the building and the nurturing of this space, both on the demand side as well as on the supply side. So, on the demand side, as a company, we try to make sure that as many platforms that want audio content or want podcasting as part of their value proposition, we try to make that possible for them, build their audio verticals with them. And today, a bunch of the podcasts that you consume across OTT platforms, OEM platforms, across applications are actually being powered because Hubhopper's technology made it so. I mean, for us, our vision has been to sort of claim podcasting back from the perspective of your listener and from the perspective of your creator. I think the biggest problem for podcasting, why it didn't reach where it needed to get, was because the creation process was very technologically heavy, very difficult, very fragmented, and very laborious. So what we've been working on is sort of with Hubhopper Studio, which if your listeners don't know or of people aren't familiar with, is essentially India's only platform where you can create a podcast for free, you can host for free, you can record on the platform itself, you can edit on the platform, you can distribute to not just Hubhopper but to most major podcasting platforms as well as major OTT players across India and the world, and then get analytics and beyond. So for us, we're trying to solve this podcasting conundrum from a technology perspective in saying that if you are a creator and if you have a story to tell, we are going to make sure that the technology aspect of it is not what's going to hinder you in getting that story out there. We're going to democratize and make the creation process as simple as possible. If I'm right, you're a Hubhopper original, right? Yeah. So and so like that's what sort of I think gets us out of the bed in the morning, because I think on a daily basis you're seeing thousands of creators and if hundreds if not thousands of creators that are now finding their voices because of technology that Hubhopper is built in democratizing creation, and I couldn't be luckier and I couldn't be happier to be in the space that we're in.
Fabulous. So, as a creator, like a final word on this, I can vouch for every word that you said. Like today, podcast is so easy thanks to Hubhopper and Hubhopper Studio. Like all the time, I get asked about this that, is it difficult or how do we begin? Honestly, just log on to Hubhopper and it's that simple. Just go to Hubhopper Studio and you can create your own podcast. So like yeah, I mean, as a creator again and from all the podcasters, thank you so much, Gautam, for creating this for us and making it a possibility.
Hey man, thank you. That means the world to me. I'll let you in on a little secret. We
Yeah.
actually are we're the sheep in this story. The creators are the shepherds. So like the creators have actually like told us what to build, how to build it, what feature they
How
want,
kind.
what they don't. So like we're just lucky to be a small part of this story. And yeah,
Awesome. Thank you for speaking with us, Gautam.
thank you so much. Really enjoyed this.
सो दोस्तों, वक्त है हमारे फन एंड फाइनल सेगमेंट का रीड लिसन वॉच। इस हफ्ते की रिकमेंडेशंस कुछ इस प्रकार हैं। Our reading recommendation is a hilarious Indian comic called Karejva, written by Varun Grover. You can find this on buckermax.com or use the link in description. Our listening recommendations are दो का चार from चमन बहार,
राज दुलारी मैं शंभू भोला, तू मनमोहिनी मेरा बैरागी चोला, तू तेज चिंगारी मैं चरस का झोला, तू मीठी रूह अफ़ज़ा मैं बर्फ का गोला,
and Old Town Road.
The horse is in the back, horse stock is attached. Head is matted black, got the bushes black to match. Riding on a horse, ha, you can whip your Porsche. I've been in the valley, you ain't been up off that porch. Now, can't nobody tell me nothing. You can't tell me nothing. Can't nobody tell me nothing. You can't tell me nothing.
Finally, our watching recommendations are Absentia on Amazon Prime Video and Dark on Netflix. Go on guys, binge, और अगर Dark समझ आए तो DMs और comments में हमें भी समझाएं. That's all folks. इसी के साथ हम wrap up करते हैं Hustle Talks के सीजन 1 का.
अच्छा चलता हूँ दुआओं में याद रखना, मेरे जिक्र का जुबां पे स्वाद रखना.
तो जल्द मिलेंगे सीजन 2 के साथ. तब तक मस्त रहें, स्वस्थ रहें. This is भाग्यश्री signing off.
इस हब हॉपर ओरिजिनल को सुनने के लिए आपका शुक्रिया। अगर आप भी अपना पॉडकास्ट लॉन्च करना चाहते हैं तो हब हॉपर स्टूडियो वेबसाइट पे रजिस्टर करें और 1 मिनट के अंदर अंदर अपना खुद का पॉडकास्ट लॉन्च करें। यही नहीं, स्टूडियो देता है आपको पूरी आजादी कहीं भी कभी भी अपना पॉडकास्ट लॉन्च करने की, सिर्फ 3 आसान स्टेप्स में। तो साथ में अपना पॉडकास्ट शुरू करने के लिए तैयार? जस्ट हॉप ऑन हब हॉपर, सिंपली कंटेंट।